Hey guys, what's going on? Eric here, bringing you guys some more D2 content. Today we're going to be going over my 500 Baal runs, but in order to do that, we're going to have to travel back in time to Season 2. I ended up recording these with my Holy Bolt Paladin, and I only just got around to editing the video. So you're going to see a couple pre-patch items, like Soul Drainers or Laying of Hands are going to have slightly different stats, but no big deal. Anyways, I ended up finding 4 Primeval Souls, I found 76 Shards, I found 42 Essences, and about 4.5 High Runes. Also, I had around 400 Magic Find. If you guys end up enjoying the video, leave a like. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment. And if you guys want to see more from me, subscribe to my channel. Alright, let's get into the drops. A unique ring on run 6 can only mean one thing. It's not an SOJ. Later in the run, Baal drops Nat's armor. I ended up finding 3 of these. The next run, we're still getting warmed up with some Frosties. That damn wizard dropped a spike again on run 13. A few runs later, some more unique jewelry. This time, it's a High Lords. On run 17, the second unique ring drops. It's a wisp. Baal drops a Horrible Reapers on run 20. I probably could have cut this. A few runs later, a decent damage jewel drops. Later in the run, some decent Laying of Hands drop as well. 25 runs in, a G-Face. Eventually I'll slam 3 sockets on one of these. Can't complain about the large charm that drops on run 27. This is why you should identify them. Run 30 starts off with a Scalders. Perfect magic find. A little later in the run, a Bartux. And a moment after that, a Towel Orb. I ended up finding 3 of these. Finally, Baal drops a mediocre Kira's. I'll take a Wraith Flight. On second thought, you keep it. A little bit later, some minions drop a Grandpappy. +4 to Warcry. The next run, some Alder Boots. I ended up finding 4 of these. And again, the next run after that, Tranks Helm. I ended up finding 3 of these as well. On run 37, I found an Eth Rune Master. 5 sockets, sick. Continuing with the set drops, I found Mav's Helm on run 39. I ended up finding 2 of these. The next run, another set item. This time, it's IK Boots. I ended up finding 3 of these. 2 set items drop on run 42. The first is a Towel Helm, which I found a whopping 10 times. The second is a Train Belt, which I found a respectable 4 times. I think the only reason I'm showing you Ghoul Hide is because they rolled almost perfect. Run 50 brings me some ears strung together. I'll take an 8-15 string any day. The first Griffin of my PD2 career drops the next run. Not bad, not bad. Run 53 starts off with Mav's Belt, which I found 7 times during these runs. Later in the run, I managed to find a useful Geed, which is pretty much unheard of for me. If you know me, you know I'm constantly running out of stamina, so this 6 small charm comes in clutch. 9 runs later, I finally find a rune worth mentioning. Also, a Facet. Absolute dog shit. The next run, another unique amulet drops. The Brunsky will find this one day. Maybe. Run 67 starts off with some Treks. Mediocre. I also found a pair of Mav gloves later in the run, and ended up finding 4 of these. More unique jewelry. This time, it's a pretty darn good Nagel. The next run, a quality set item drops. Can't complain about 87 Magic Find. Couple runs later, I find another string. There's much to be desired with these rolls. I find a couple useful charms on run 75. The first is a decent melee large charm. The second is this useful Life and Mana Grand charm. Let's see how this shaft stop rolls. Meh, it's worth a slam. Thanks for the chances, Baal. Actually, I think I'm all set. You can keep them. It's not a beefy room, but I'll take half of X. Also, Baal dropped a mediocre temp coat, as well as some decent goblin toes. The first skiller drops after 94 runs, and it's frickin' defensive GC. Ugh. The first 100 runs wraps up with a lidless. Thankfully, it's +2. What the hell, wizard? Quit dropping your spike. Wear a frickin' fanny pack if you have to. A couple runs later, I found a helm for a king. This was the only one to drop during these runs. The skiller drops on the next run. This time, it's a combat GC for the pally. Is it just me or do gores virtually never drop for people? Check out this sick melee charm that drops on run 115. Hell yeah. I'm not sure why I'm showing you non-Eth Titans, but at least the rolls weren't too bad. Baal decides to drop a unique ring. And it wasn't trash. Craziness. The next run, I found a belt for a king. This is one of 2 that dropped. On run 31, I found a pair of gloves for a king. This is one of 2 that dropped as well. Don't do me wrong, Baal. I'm gonna need +2. F and F. The next run starts off with a facet. Mediocre. Then, Baal decides to drop an alder helm. +2. Along with a gold wrap. I wouldn't be showing you a shitty Bartok if it didn't drop with a Mav bow, so here you go. Also, the Mav bow rolled great. Another skiller drops on run 143. It's a Jab GC for the Zon. When Baal drops a Geed, you know what that means. Absolute trash. Eth T-strokes, hell yeah. +4, hell yeah. I'll take another skiller. Shadow Disciplines? Meh. Yet another skiller. Much less meh. The next run, I find a nice facet to go along with that much less meh skiller. Brace yourself for these vamp races. Whew, I think I need a cold shower to calm myself down. A couple runs later, I find a 2-3 Grizz armor, and ended up finding 4 of these. Later in the run, Baal drops a pretty solid belt made of ears, which is honestly kinda gross. Yet another couple runs later, and I find myself a Levy. 25 DR? Meh. On run 173, I find a Lilith. And +2. Nice. The next run drops unique ring number 3, I think? A Frosty Raven with low cold absorb. Ooh, an rune. Yes please. Let's see what this Thunder Maul is. Either way, I wish it were F. We've got a Basher here, folks. It's a Basher. Run 183 starts off with some gores, which I'll always take. Nat's Helm drops later in the run. I ended up finding 2 of these. Unique boot drops continue with some haunches. I ended up finding 37 pairs of these, or something like that. Alright, let's see how these chances rolled. Not good. Not good at all. Man, I always get excited when a facet drops. I get even more excited when the rolls are good. 3 runs later, Baal decides to drop a Harlequin quest. Can't even say it, that just sounds weird. Shaco. Pole Rune. Crossing the 200 mark, I'm showcasing one of 4 Primeval Souls to drop during these runs. Surely this unique ring is going to be an SOJ, right? Wrong. Always wrong. Probably shouldn't complain when a skiller drops, but come on, it's a friggin' curse GC. Can I finally ID a +3 Bone Flame? The search continues. The drop highlights from Baal continue with some train gloves. This was the only pair to drop. I'm hoping for +2 on this Medusa. Could have done without the anti-perfect cast rate though. The only Alder armor to drop during these runs comes on run 220. Unfortunately, it's only 2-1. Later in the run, Baal drops an Eth Flamebellow. I managed to find another Griffin, which is just surreal every time it happens. Mediocre rolls. Ooh, an Eth Shadow Killer. Well, they're all Eth. +4, but that ED really sucks. It's a lot more fun to find a unique diadem, but unique tiaras are okay too, I guess. Later in the run, a pretty decent Bartux drops. Another pair of Gores drops a couple runs later. And yet another couple runs later, more unique boots. This time I find a solid pair of Marowaks. On run 236, Baal drops some Frosties. These roll nearly perfect. Baal decides to give me another chance at a Bone Flame. This one is even worse than before. A couple runs later, Baal drops an IQ weapon with horrible rolls. I ended up finding 4 of these. Another noteworthy set weapon drops on run 248. Even with the good roll, it's still not really sought after. Halfway through the runs, I find a set Sacred Armor. I ended up finding 2 of these. Run 253 starts out with a Skiller. This one is a cold GC for the source. Later in the run, some non-Eth checks drop. Not good. Yet another Shadow Killer drops. Yet another +4. I like my Sacred Armors like I like my women. Unique. +8 might? Fuck yes. The run wasn't done giving, because Baal drops a solid 35 DS 2-throw. 7 runs later, I find some Bony Gloves. 10 Life Leech? That's what I like to see. Couple runs later, a cute little Small Charm drops. I'm 7, but I look a lot older. How many Shadow Killers will I end up finding? I can't believe they're all +4. I really wish more people had a use for Headhunters because this thing is sick. Gotta love seeing 3 sockets. Storm Shields are just something I'm always excited to find. Could have done with some more DR though. Found a Skiller on run 280 that isn't your typical Skiller. Hell yes, that's a good charm. I found a Shaco. A Shaco. Shuki? Shocky? Greenhelm? Greenhelm on run 289. 5 DR is always welcome. 3 runs later, a Bone Shade. This one rolled nearly perfect. Apparently I'm finding all the Shacos. 3 DRs, much less welcome. Crossing the 300 mark, I find a Homunculus. I think I found more Zod runes than this shield on PD2. And another Kira. Mostly trash rolls. I was hoping for a higher frequency of high runes by now, but I can't complain when an Ohm rune drops. The next run produces one of the best Cerebus bites I've ever found, but still falls a little short. This unique amulet must be useful if I'm highlighting it. Yep, Cat's Eye is useful. The next run, Baal drops Treng's armor. I ended up finding 2 of these. 5 runs later, another noteworthy armor drops. The life is good, but the DR is lacking. On run 327, Baal's minions drop a Dungo. We're definitely not lacking DR with 15%. A couple runs later, a useful Small Charm drops. Wish the rolls were a little higher. Later in the run, an Aki. Even with the buff floor, I still rarely get a +3. Another Magic Find item for the source drops a couple runs later. This time, it's Tal's Belt. This was the only one to drop. 6 runs later, I find a perfect low-level dueling Small Charm. So sick. Baal drops a T-God on run 342. Decent stats. Let's have another shot at that Shaft Stop. I got the higher DR, but the life is trash. I ended up finding this pretty cool jewel, but never ended up selling it or using it. Did I find yet another +4 Shadow Killer? Yes I did. I found an Eth Bone Shade for some style points. Unfortunately, it didn't quite have the rolls I was looking for. Around 355, another facet. Not the best, but it's still worth an ist. Another Dungo drops. This time it's from Baal. Not the best, but I'll take it. The generous Baal drops a Valor 2 runs later. +2. Hell yeah. Unique ring number I lost track. Yet another low Cold Raven. One of these days I'll find an Eth legendary mallet. Today isn't that day, but it's still a Schaefer. Can I get 15% on this string of ears? That's okay. I ain't mad. I certainly wasn't expecting to find another unique Sacred Armor. It's not blue, but it's another +8 might. That's insane. I didn't end up making another gold find barb this season, but this charm definitely would have went on him. A gold wrap drops the next run. Not the best rolls. Later in the run, a noteworthy small charm drops. So close, yet so far away. I know this amulet lacks a lot for low level dueling, but it's still pretty cool. Run 395, release the Kraken. This one rolled +2. This was the only one to drop. Later in the run, another T-God. Decent stats yet again. Non-Eth checks just make me sad. The stats make me even sadder. Later in the run, the Skiller helped me cheer up. I was feeling right as rain after this low rune dropped. 400 runs down, I find another gold wrap. I'll take that MF roll. 3 runs later, I find another Levy. Unfortunately, the DR could have been higher. Eth T-strokes. Fingers crossed for +4. Thanks everyone for crossing your fingers as well. It's a Bariza. Wow, that's crap. How many vampires needed to die to make this belt? At least 50, right? Avert your eyes before I show you this gold wrap. Wow, you just had to look, didn't you? I warned you, didn't I? I just don't find good geeds, so let's see how this rolls. Yep, I just puked in my mouth a little bit. You always hope for an SOJ. Maybe I should have hoped harder? Baal drops a unique Spired Helm on run 434. Seriously sick rolls. The only pair of Shadow Dancers I found on PD2 dropped the next run. Seriously sick rolls yet again. A couple runs later, I find another godly item. Some Eth Jacks for the Merce dropped in run 437. The next run, Baal drops some boots made of shark skin. Anti-perfect life. Gross. It's not going to be another Raven, is it? Yep, it is, but at least it has perfect cold absorb. Run 445 starts off with a facet. Not good. Later in the run, I find a middle of the road Gurks. Another Shadow Killer drops in run 448. The +4 streak finally dies. I'm glad I decided to kill this straggler. I'll take anything above 300. Later in the run, I find this almost godly MF charm. To cap off the run, I find Alder's weapon. I ended up finding 3 of these. On run 456, I start off by identifying a Lightning Ormus. And a mediocre Cold Facet. Plus a 220 Assassin Circlet. I think this is Kira number 3? At least one of the negative resistances rolled high. An Eth Wraithflight drops the next run. This is probably my best rolled one to drop. Later in the run, I find one of 2 Tal Armors to drop during these runs. This one rolled almost completely perfect. A solid Goldfind Helm for the Merce drops 11 runs later. Run 478 starts off with the Partux. Later in the run, another unique ring. Back to the 5% cold absorb. Ew. Been a while since I highlighted a rune, so thanks for your patience, because I definitely needed it. A couple runs later, Baal drops a Valk. Mostly trash rolls all around. The next run, I find another belt made of fangs. Mediocre, but I'll take it. 6 runs later, I find another unique belt. Mediocre yet again. Run 495 decided to squirt out one last tiny rune. Thanks for the pull, I guess. Back to the unique belts for the final run. Mediocre. Later in the run, the final noteworthy drop is some Drax.